As long as it's a boyfriend song to the world and a worship song to Jesus for the Christians, then mission accomplished. For instance, they only get high on Jesus. You know, you'll recognize Plum by her songs like Need You Now, which I will sing for you.
Why did I wear a dress to the Dove Awards?
If you want to support this channel, you can check out the link below. It says shop our merch. Howdy y'all, I'm Brylan. Now I've done tons of videos on my channel about the corruption of the Christian music industry. In fact, one of my most recent ones is this video right here. This Christian band is evil. And you can go check out that video to see who it is. But again, there's dozens of videos on my channel going over the corruption of the Christian music industry. And in this video, I want to show you a Christian band that has taken depravity to a whole nother level. And I'm also going to show you what one of the members of this band just did at the Dove Awards this past week. And honestly, it's going to blow your mind. Now, real quick, I want to lay the foundation of why I'm going to show you what I'm about to show you about this Christian band and what one of the members did at the Dove Awards this past week. And I want to show you how absolutely and utterly deceptive the Christian music industry can be. And I want to show you how we're supposed to respond to that deception and depravity from these Christians in the Christian music industry. Check out Titus chapter 1. It says in verse 10, "For there are many who are insubordinate, empty talkers and deceivers, especially those of the circumcision party. They must be silenced, since they are upsetting whole families by teaching for shameful gain what they ought not to teach." So Paul isn't saying here, continue to let them teach because of inclusiveness, because it's the loving thing to do, or because it's accepting. No, not at all. Paul is saying that they need to be silenced because they are teaching wickedness that is leading people astray. Verse 12, "One of the Cretans, a prophet of their own, said Cretans are always liars, evil beasts, and lazy gluttons." So the Cretans were evil, wicked people that claimed good to be evil and evil to be good. And verse 13 says, "This testimony is true. Therefore, rebuke them sharply, that they may be sound in the faith." Paul is saying here that the way for them to be sound in their faith and to walk correctly with God is to rebuke them, not to stay quietly in your corner and allow them to continue to teach wickedness and deceive people. They must be rebuked and put in their place in a loving way so that they can be sound in the faith. Otherwise, they will continue on in their wickedness, deceiving and being deceived. Verse 14 goes on to say, it says, "So that they won't be devoting themselves to Jewish myths and the commands of people who turn away from the truth." The only way to keep them from this is to rebuke them sharply. Otherwise, you're instigating their sin and allowing corruption to rule. Verse 15, "To the pure all things are pure, but to the defiled and unbelieving nothing is pure. But both their minds and their consciences are defiled." Now check out verse 16. "They profess to know God, but they deny him by their works. They are detestable, disobedient, and unfit for any good work." Paul wasn't afraid to call out false teachers. Paul wasn't afraid to call out the wickedness coming from those who claimed to be of the faith. And that's where this story comes in. There was a band back in the 90s called Cadmans Call. Cadmans Call was very popular for a time. And for one reason or another, they disbanded and haven't been a band for many, many years. However, the last couple of years, they've been getting back together and creating music and doing shows. Basically, they're trying to ramp up to see if they can survive as a band, and they're doing it all under the guise of being a Christian band. However, I'm going to show you that that is far, far from the truth, and unfortunately, there are certain Christian bands in the industry today that have put their support behind Cadmans Call despite what I'm about to show you. And that's very disheartening. There's a member of Cadmans Call. His name is Derek Webb. Pronouns in the bio. Have a good day, everybody. Derek Webb was one of the original members of Cadmans Call, and he is one of the members of Cadmans Call today. And you'll see here that Derek Webb actually just put out a solo album called The Jesus Hypothesis, my first Christian and gospel album in 10 years. He is still claiming to be a Christian artist, a Christian musician, but I'm going to show you how that is far from the truth. So here is some posts by Derek Webb. You can see, just scrolling through, you can see that he posts himself in dresses quite a bit. Also dwag. You can see he is a huge dwag. Here he was. This is a song called Sometimes Boys Will Be Girls. This is Derek Webb, one of the members of Cadmans Call, a Christian band. But I want to show you what Derek Webb just recently did at the Dove Awards. Now, the Dove Awards are a major award show for Christian musicians and Christian bands. And there's plenty of issues with the Dove Awards. That's for a separate video. The Dove Awards are an absolute joke. All it is self-glorifying and a complete and utter mockery before God. And I think Jesus would be flipping some tables at the Dove Awards. So I guess it's not that big of a surprise that Derek Webb went to the Dove Awards in a dress. Despite having won fewer over the past 20 years, tonight will be my first ever trip to the Dove Awards in the company of some very good friends, Flamie Grant and Grace Baldridge, two names I have talked about on this channel before and who I'll show you more in just a second. But here's a picture of Derek Webb in a dress, and I'm going to show you why. He posted a video sharing why he wore a dress to the Dove Awards, and then here's Semler in the middle and Flamie Grant. All three of these claim to be LGB affirming. Well, these two back here are LGB themselves. He claims to be a straight white man, privileged straight white man, by the way. And as you can tell, he is a very straight white man. The Dove Awards welcomed them with open arms. That means that all the families, the children, got to see these three at the Dove Awards and ask Mommy and Daddy, what's that? And of course, as true Christians, we can't call any of this out. We can't take a stand and call it what it is. We have to mince words and be accepting and loving and tolerant because Jesus would have done all of those things. So let's look at this video of why Derek Webb wore a dress to the Dove Awards.
Why did I wear a dress to the Dove Awards? As a cis, straight, white man, I walk into a room like that, and any room with an incredible amount of advantage and privilege. If I'm attending as an ally of friends and colleagues, I should do everything possible to surrender that privilege at the door. If the way you look at my loved ones isn't the way you look at me, I'm not truly standing with them. It's like Stan Mitchell says, if you claim to be someone's ally but aren't getting hit by the stones thrown at them, you aren't standing close enough. Plus, I have amazing legs.
Yeah, it's those legs, man. As you can see, Derek Webb has drank the drink of the world, of society, of Satan, where he is an ally and he is setting aside his evil whiteness and becoming lesser than human by wearing a dress, apparently, to show solidarity and to show the stones that have been thrown at his friends and family, that he will take a stone to the face as well. And that stone that was being thrown at them was being accepted by the Dove Awards with open arms and going to a stadium packed with people, probably some champagne, and seeing live shows and concerts surrounded by Christians that don't have the guts or the backbone to call this what it is. Cadmans Call is currently being welcomed with open arms back into the Christian music industry. and nobody seems to care. Why? Because the Christian music industry is an industry, not a ministry. They don't care about who you are or what you claim to represent or who you are behind the scenes. As long as you're able to put out a song and trick those gullible Christians into listening to your music that could or could not actually be worshiping Jesus. As long as it's a boyfriend song to the world and a worship song to Jesus for the Christians, then mission accomplished. You know, there's been many Christian websites that have actually covered this, like Christian Post. Derek Webb, I wore a dress to the Dove Awards to surrender privilege as a straight, white man. All three of these things are the most evil things in the world, and he surrendered them all. Just like, almost like Jesus surrendered his life for the entire world. This man solely and fully surrendered his evil straight white manness for the world. But Christian websites are covering this without actually calling it out and calling it what it is. Just covering it, letting you know this is what happened. Get used to it. And you have church leaders over here. Cadmans Call band member dressed in dwag alongside Flamie Grant at the 54th Annual Dove Awards. Now, here's who else the Dove Awards welcomed with open arms. This is similar. Again, an LGBT Christian musician whose music I don't even want to show on here because it's so littered with foul language that I know there are some who watch my videos that are sensitive to that. This is a person that is a Christian, and you can tell by their fruit. For instance, they only get high on Jesus. Get it? Because of the cross blunt. And similar only does Christian middle fingers as well. But I want to show you this very interesting post that Similar posted. The text message says, I got the green light. Just wanted to check with my buddy. Totally. You can say there are definitely multiple K-Love employees who love Faith. Faith is one of her songs. So yeah, that's no surprise at all. You know, K-Love and these Christian music radio stations are owned and operated by the industry. And that's what they are. They are an industry as well. And oh boy, the stories behind the scenes of these radio stations would blow your minds. And then of course, here's Flamie Grant, who also went to the Dove Awards. But Flamie Grant is here, as you can see, again, a Christian fortune teller. This is them right before the Dove Awards. You can see Derek Webb right down here, Flamie Grant, similar somewhere, but not in this photo. You go to the next photo, you can see they're similar. They're all sitting together, all just hanging out, having a good time, watching Christian music people worship themselves. Also, don't forget about this. I covered this in a video as well. Plum coming out of the Owlie closet. You know, the singer Plum. You know, Plum's had lots of music on Christian radio for many, many years. She's claimed to be a Christian artist. And all of a sudden, like last year, she just all of a sudden came out as like a progressive Christian that is an ally and fighting for all of this stuff. You know, you'll recognize Plum by her songs like Need You Now, which I will sing for you. Oh, why need you now? But you're seeing many Christian artists fall away or become allies, but still maintain the Christian artist pedigree. And that's what's so dangerous about this. And the Christian music is just letting it happen. When was the last time, when have you ever seen a Christian musician actually call out sin and depravity that's infiltrating their industry? I mean, there are very few exceptions. Like, I can think of one right now. But how terribly sad that this kind of stuff is able to infiltrate Christianity, and we just have to take it because the world tells us Jesus would have been tolerant. So we have to be tolerant. And we just forsake and forget the Word of God because it's easier to go along, to get along with the world and to listen to their definitions of biblical morality than to actually follow the Word of God, have a backbone, and stand for truth. You know, it wasn't very popular for Jesus to say the things that he did before he was beaten and bloodied and scourged, and a crown of thorns was put on his head, and he was nailed to the cross on our behalf. But he did it anyway, because he wasn't going to give in to the world. He wasn't going to sacrifice the truth to go along, to get along. He had a mission to complete, and he died for you and me, sacrificed his blood on the cross so that we could be made righteous through him, not so that we can sit here and live in our sin and sulk and appease the world, a world that's unappeasable, by the way. All we're doing is mocking God. But remember this, God will not be mocked. But hey, let me know your thoughts about all this in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button, join this community. I would love to hear from you regularly. And please hit that thumbs up button as well. You know, when you like this video, it'll get pushed out to more people and it would really help spread this message. So thank you for doing that. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.